Welcome to The Secret Place with Bennett, devotions for hungry hearts and searching souls.
Hi there, everyone. This is Steffa. I'm so glad you're joining me today. We're talking about love again today. Yep, we've got to do it. Can't go very long without talking about love. Again, from the JamesK.A.Smith book, You Are What You Love. Now, his book is an awful lot about habits and cultivating good habits without being moralistic. He's very, very helpful. So if you would like to read a book like that, I certainly recommend this. The deeper I've gone in it, for sure, I totally recommend it. The part that I want to read to you today, this week, is it's kind of a continuation of our talk about telos and purpose. And he says here, he's talking about our humanness and what makes us human. And just as a little footnote, this is very important to me because we're in such an age of advanced technology and AI and so much that's happening in our extending our human function. I think it's especially important to remember our humanness. And I'm glad that both Augustine did and JamesK.A.Smith wrote about it. And Mr. Smith, Dr. Smith, if you are happening to hear this by any chance, thank you. Thank you very much. He says, to be human is to be a lover and to love something ultimate. But we will only fully appreciate the significance of this for discipleship if we also recognize that such love is a kind of subconscious desire that operates without our thinking about it. In order to fend off the reductionistic cliche that love is a feeling, we sometimes rightly emphasize that love is a choice, or that, as Clint Black crooned, love is something that we do. In a certain sense, that is true, but in another sense, love, as we're talking about it here, love, as our most fundamental orientation to the world, is less a conscious choice and more like a baseline inclination, a default orientation that generates the choices we make. That is good. That is so good. That stuff is so good. He talks about love as kind of like being like an autopilot, orienting us without our thinking about it. And that's why honestly, that's one of the reasons why I make such a big deal about talking about love. Because I believe that humans were made from love and for love. And that doesn't just mean loving God. That means loving one another, loving each other, and even finding some kind of love for ourselves. Not egoism, not self-centeredness, but love for ourselves too. And this little passage that I read, the part here that really, really struck me is that he talks about how our world, our culture talks about love as emotivism. And I got to tell you a little story about this. Refuting that whole love is a feeling phrase. I hated the idea for, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many years, this kind of hippie 1960s, 90s, 70s, idea that love is such a feeling, love is such a strong feeling. You know what? So many instances of the love I've known and the long loves that I've had in my life, familial loves, friendship loves, all kinds of loves, it's just not about feeling. And I would see people break up. I would see friendships destroyed. I would see people walk away from their faith, a faith that it becomes shipwrecked because there's this rift with God, because they don't feel that they can trust God, or this friend doesn't feel that they're loved, or whatever the things are. And it's almost like I've watched love being reduced to a feeling, and just instead of being fruitful and joyous and a gift from God, part of why we were made, it becomes this like dirt concept, where people think all it is a feeling, and if the feeling is gone, you can walk out. You can just go. Or if the feeling is stronger for another person, you can just go. Or if there's a new friend that comes along and they're just more exciting, you can just leave your old friend. It's like, yeah, and I know how it sounds right now, like I'm big on loyalty. I am. I don't think in terms of short-term relationships. I think of like you develop a relationship, you develop friendships, you develop brotherly, sisterly relationships in the church. You develop an eternal, long-lasting, forever relationship with God our Father, with our parents, with our siblings. These aren't to be cut off and choked away, And so if we think of love as a feeling, we're very inclined to do that. But the whole purpose for me telling you that part of this story is that my anger and my angst about that when I was young, when I was like teenager, 20 something, even into my 30s, deep into my 30s, pushed me away from really I don't want to go that far and say I didn't value the feelings involved in love. Of course, that's crazy. Of course, that wasn't true. But just really minimizing, do you know what I'm saying? Like minimizing the feelings, almost like denigrating a feeling that might come up and ignoring it instead of letting my feelings be part of the information that kind of my heart, my body was, telegraphing to me, hey, there's something going on here. Listen to this. It was like I wouldn't even go there. It was like almost I think I was becoming a stoic. Can you imagine me a stoic? No, it doesn't, right? But yeah, some of my old friends, I could be quite stoic just in an effort to obey, walk in conviction, strictness. Like even just saying that now kind of makes me shake inside because, that is like black and white thinking. And it wasn't good for my soul. I don't think it's good for the soul in general. I was always afraid. I remember once when I was teaching adult Sunday school, when I was just in my 20s, I loved teaching. I never really realized that I loved teaching. And then it was like kind of meant to be a teacher. But back then I was refusing to teach about grace and about love as a feeling. And you think, what was the matter with me? What was the matter with me is I thought that I could somehow hold my life together in perfect order just by not paying attention to my feelings. If some of my old friends are listening to this, you'll remember my statement. I used to say, no, I totally want to hug the mountain of God. I don't want to walk around on the edges. I don't want to fall off. That was my concept. And I suppose in some way, in some small way, that ordering a life that way, being very careful to walk in a way that is, I used to like walk in a way that doesn't get you in trouble. It doesn't get you into trouble. Walk in a way that glorifies God. Walk in a way that just walk in the right path, right? I'm not saying that that's not a right way to go. I'm saying I was overboard. And I always had this issue where like I would not look at other people and judge other people and how they were walking and who wasn't doing this and who was doing that. But guess who I judged? I judged myself so harshly. If I wore a wrong shirt, if I wore a certain length of skirt, and I mean, you could think of anything that I was just so careful about everything because I didn't want to move into the realm of feeling and let feelings steal me away. And I'm just saying to you, I have just a sense, and I could be wrong here, but I just have a sense that someone is listening or some people are listening who could be caught in that same kind of trap, like kind of your feelings and your emotions collapsed inside of you with just a guard gate all around it because there's too much in there. There's too much in there and you don't want to let it just swirl out of control. And I want to assure you today, there's freedom in Christ. He made you for love, and your emotions can give you some information about what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing, your direction, your longing, your next step, your purpose. Don't ignore the emotions. Don't ignore the emotions like I did for many years. They do have something to tell us. You don't hear me saying, let your emotions lead you. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying let our feelings, no matter what they are, just lead us around by a leash. No, you don't hear me saying that. I've not gone there and I will not go there. But what I'm trying to say is this, that no matter how much your soul is transformed, no matter how fruitful your life is, or no matter how unfruitful your life is, no matter how far you think you have to go in terms of the transformation of your soul, if you died today and didn't get any further in your becoming, God would still accept you exactly how you are. Yeah. He loves you. You're accepted in the beloved. You are accepted in the beloved. And so am I. And let that inspire us to go further, to long for God with our whole heart and our whole soul. That's enough for today. Have a great week. I will see you soon, hopefully. Bless you.
Breathe, listen, and receive. Take a moment to soak it all in. Until next time.